Hey guys, welcome back to User Experience Points. This week I broke 100 subscribers. That's not that big of a deal in YouTube terms, but to me personally it's amazing because I did not expect this show to get as great of a response that it has gotten. So thank you so much. This week we're going to talk about Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. This game's UX is... the only way I can really describe it is accessible madness, which is actually a pretty good description of the game itself. On one hand, it's completely disorganized and the information architecture is all over the place, but on the other hand, it always manages to make sure everything you need at any given time is right there at point of use, so it's an interesting one, so let's dig into it. This first example is an easy one. There is no reason that the Spot Pass notification should come up every single time you start the game if you select no. I've not had a single time where this didn't pop up. It's irritating. It should really have only popped up once since you can go into the options at any time and enable this if you want to. Nice and simple, moving on. Next, let's talk about the game's primary use case, Smash. 90% of the time when you boot up this game, this is where you're going to go, especially if you've got a couple friends over. What's unique about this screen and the variations of it depending on what mode you have selected is the way it uses a cursor. This makes sense because not only does this screen have more options than any other part of the interface, but since more than one person is controlling the interface, it makes sense for each person to have their own cursor, kind of like each person having their own character. This way, everyone can just kind of be doing their own thing. One person could be browsing through characters, another one could be swapping colors, and one person could be adjusting the rules for the match. The most important use cases for adjusting rules are right here on screen, whether you want to adjust how long the match is, how many lives you have, or switch over to team battle. You may have noticed the excellent touch where the hand actually animates to a tapping motion whenever you've reached a part of the menu that is interactive. That's excellent. It also helps mitigate some of the unnecessarily hidden elements on here, like selecting your profile, which itself leads to another nitpick in that the game does not remember your favorite costume for any character, unlike in the 3DS version. It would have made perfect sense for the game to remember this based on which profile is selected. Okay, here comes the big one. This game's information architecture is completely banana sandwich. Several menus, like controls, are repeated everywhere. Many different options are completely buried in menus, and when you actually look at the path that you use to get to them, it really doesn't make any sense. And yet, the whole thing just kind of works. Menus are constantly repeated, but this always puts them at point of use, like controls. The gorgeous visual design makes all the menu options very easy to read, and there's not that many options on screen at any given time. When you're first exploring around, it's kind of like this magical little journey where you can go in and discover all the game's little extra features. My favorite was part of my journey into the completely ambiguously titled Games and More section and found the section where you can adjust how often the available music tracks for each stage play. So naturally, I went to the Sonic stage and made sure only the cheesy vocal tracks play at all times. Rolling around at the speed of... That said, once you learn your way around, getting to anything outside of the first screen is just frustrating, with pretty much everything buried in the Games and More option. Thankfully, the UI is incredibly fast and responsive, making the extra clicks less of a problem. Plus, it's hard not to appreciate just how well each menu is designed once you get to it. Like the excellent control screen that allows you to remap the face buttons and turn off common options like rumble and whether you want the character to jump when you press up on the control stick. And then you can test it out to make sure you like it, right there. That's amazing, no game does that. There's a ton of great little menus like this in the game, but unfortunately I have to cut this episode short this week. My Hauppauge HD PVR is having some problems and I need to send it in for a replacement. So I need to give myself some extra time this week to record what footage I can before sending it off, in order to keep producing episodes on schedule. So thanks again for watching, guys. Sorry I had to cut it short this week, but I bet we can come back to Smash Bros. Maybe in a roundup episode, or possibly revisit the game in the future. In the meantime, you can expect a new episode next week before we take a break for Christmas, so we'll see you then.